They should make like another rule that if you're a top 10 player, if you make it the top 10 players of that year, gosh, you'll die.
I'm just listening to you.
If you're like the top 10 player of all time,
I try to do a thing.
you should have to walk around and talk about yourself in the third person. Like if you go order something, you should say Mike Trout wants a cheeseburger. Mookie
what kind
Betts,
of rule is that? You're going to get kicked out of the league if you don't do this.
Could you imagine?
Mookie Betts wants a number one. All right, so here we are. It's our second baseball video of the day. Like and subscribe.
Yep. Next video. This one's kind of a little bit not goofier, but a little bit more interesting.
Something kind of different.
I don't even know if more interesting.
There wasn't tons of news, so I found this kind of an interesting thing that an article that I found, and it was what if the home run didn't count? They didn't specify, the person who wrote it, on if it would be considered like a foul ball or like a ground rule double every time. They didn't really specify that. They just said, what if it wasn't a home run?
And they looked at player stats and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they looked at player stats, kind of broke down on base slugging and then on base plus slugging. And then at the end of this, we're going to have the 5 guys that had the worst on base plus slugging.
Now, do you want to go through this in order of what you have it?
Yeah, I think we'll just do it in this order.
Okay.
So obviously he talked about pitchers first. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm assuming it was a guy, I don't know, whoever wrote the article. They said that strike to walk ratio would determine the best pitchers. And I guess what they're getting at with that is that if you don't allow people on base, they're not going to have people to knock in. Because obviously, okay, well, say a guy comes up, there's nobody on base. If he hits a home run, that's a run. But if there's a guy on first and he hits a single or he hits a home run and it doesn't count, that pitcher still has a chance to come back and get him.
You also have other things that you have to account for. Like if Byron Buxton gets on base and he's at first, he can score. He can score.
True. Yeah.
So there's certain things like that you can't really. Maybe you can or can't. The metrics are weird. There's people that
metrics for baseball, and they have so many different types of stats they keep. But I'm assuming that's where he was getting at with this, is not allowing people on base.
But you would attack batters differently too as a pitcher.
You would. Yeah, you could throw more stuff, more straight line fastball stuff. And not have to worry about them hitting it out.
But at the same time,
batters would have to adjust.
I was getting ready to say, hitters would adjust, and if you have people who are fastball hitters, they might excel at that.
True.
And you might see OPS go up for players. We're going to get into this.
That you wouldn't normally see. Yeah. But, that's what they said for pitchers. So the top 5 pitchers, strike to walk ratio. Verlander's far and above anybody. He's over one above anybody else.
And you'll notice a statistic or an award with all the pitchers too.
So Verlander almost 8 strikeouts per walk, which is
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. The next closest to him, is Corey Kluber,
who we all know
6.5. He's another good pitcher.
He's always dominant.
Max Scherzer,
always dominant.
A little over 5.5 strikeouts per walk.
Won the Cy Young last year along with this next player.
And then Jacob deGrom is right underneath him at .03.
So you have the NL and AL, right?
Yeah.
Who won the Cy Young last year, both on this. You have Verlander, who's, correct me if I'm wrong, he's won a Cy Young, right?
He's won a Cy Young before when he was with the Tigers. I think he did.
And then Corey Kluber has won a Cy Young, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. He's the only one I'm not 100% sure about.
I think he did in 2016. He
might have.
I may be wrong about that, but I think he's won a Cy Young. If not, he's been in the talks with.
But he's he's a really good pitcher. So regardless.
So if you notice, all these players pretty much they've won a Cy Young. So
yeah.
The best pitchers in the world. So it's pretty consistent.
So that tells you why they're winning Cy Youngs, obviously.
They have some good stuff to throw.
Next you get into on base percentages, and all these are without home runs accounted for. So Joey Votto is number 1.
Now, did you want to talk about that stat you saw the other day?
Yeah, I saw a stat the other day where it was talking about players that swing at bad pitches the least amount, and he was number 1 on that list, and it wasn't even close.
And that pretty much it takes an account for home runs too.
Yeah. And it takes into account why he'd be number 1 with a .398 average on base,
So he pretty much gets on base half the time anyway.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Now, with home runs, I'm sure he's probably up closer to
And the Reds are going to complete a little bit more.
Over 500.
Yeah. The Reds are going to be a little bit more competitive now too with Yasiel Puig.
And you'll notice kind of a trend with this first list. You got Mike Trout second at .396. Mookie Betts, apparently it's Mookie Betts is what I wrote down. I guess I was that tired. 386. Lorenzo Cain, which kind of surprised me. I'm wondering if he's up there on that non-swing list too, where he doesn't swing at bad pitches.
Might be.
At 379, and Justin Turner, another good hitter, 373.
Yeah. When he went to the Dodgers, I mean, it's like he just shot up.
Yeah, and now you'll notice on this list,
Chewy.
You'll notice on this list, these guys, most of this list is still like top tier players.
Yes.
Now, as you get further down in some of these other lists, you get some guys you may not think about as much.
Right.
You know, when you get into slugging, you got Corey Dickerson, 360.
He's still a pretty decent player.
Yeah.
I mean, but some of these names aren't like on the top 10 best players of all time list.
Yeah. And then Mookie Betts is second there, 352. Mookie Betts. He's up. I thought I did it again. There's an S. He's one of, I'm making sure, but he's one of the ones that's consistently on almost in pretty much every list. Mallex Smith, who I've never even heard of. Have you heard of him? Do you know who that is?
Yes.
345. Joey Wendell, 392.
That one surprised me.
Miguel Andujar, 335.
That one surprised me too.
So I mean, you know, in this second list, you still got good quality players, but so like you said, they're not like top 10.
There are a lot of players that hit doubles and triples and stuff like that. Yeah. So now Mookie Betts was rated, and we're getting ready to go to the next one. Mookie Betts is rated as the second best player of all time. You know, you kind of right below Mike Trout.
Yeah.
I'm starting to look at this, maybe question that a little bit.
I've said that I think he's better, but Mike Trout's still an amazing.
I like them both.
Mike Trout's speed and base stealing surprised me. I didn't know he quite did that as much as he does, but he's a good athlete.
I want all these players. I feel like they should make like another rule that if you're a top 10 player, if you make it the top 10 players of that year, gosh, you'll die.
I'm just listening to you.
If you're like the top 10 player of all time,
I'd try to do a thing.
You should have to walk around and talk about yourself in the third person. Like if you go order something, you should say Mike Trout wants a cheeseburger. Mookie
what kind
Betts,
of rule is that? You're going to get kicked out of the league if you don't do this.
Could you imagine? Mookie
Betts wants a number one.
But anyway, you want to get into
the next we got the on-base plus slugging. And Mookie Betts is first in that at 738.
Again, he's on that list.
Mallex Smith is on there again, 708. Justin Turner's on this one again, 696. I was waiting for this name to come up the whole time I was reading this. Altuve. He's fourth at 687. I was waiting because he's a smaller guy. He's fast, but he has some pop off the bat. We saw him play live.
And maybe Joey Wendell shouldn't surprise me, but he's not a name that...
Yeah, Joey Wendell's fifth at 683.
He's not a name that I recognize a whole lot and don't see a whole lot in the stat book. So.
No, which is, it's cool to see that because that tells you how quality these guys are and how some teams, baseball with stats, they have so many weird stats. This guy hits 400 on the second Tuesday of every September, and they keep stuff like that in baseball, and it makes me laugh.
Now we get into the next stat, which to me is one of the most interesting talks.
Yeah.
The worst hitters without home runs.
The worst on-base plus slugging without home runs. So, number one, and I think he's clearly far above everybody else.
If you notice, these are all power hitters.
Yeah, Chris Davis, 361. Now, everybody else is pretty much over 400 except for the second guy, Mike Zunino. He's 399, so he's right on 400. So I think, Chris Davis is just way below everybody else.
And then you have one of my favorite players in the Texas Rangers.
One of Cody's favorites, Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo. And you got Evan Gattis, who comes in a lot for just to smash the ball.
And Lewis Brinson, who I don't think I've ever heard that name before.
I have, but again, he's like Joey Wendell. I don't notice him on the...
And they were talking about this list, and they said a couple of these guys are on here, a couple of these guys are on this list just because they just hit so bad last year. It doesn't even have that much to do with home runs.
Here's the argument I have. You start to question how valuable these guys are, and of course home runs are valuable, but they're few and far between when you get into important stats like a lot of these batters hit fourth and fifth because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, they're there to get people on base and just smash the ball somewhere.
Now, if a player is the worst hitter of all time and all they're accounting for is home runs, I start to question how valuable they are on my team because...
I think these are current players. I think these are just current players, I think is what he...
I understand that, but if I have a player on the team who's, of course, last year, if you're looking at stats from last year, I'm surprised Giancarlo Stanton's not on this list.
Yes.
He struck out a lot.
Yeah.
And I hate to see that because I like Giancarlo Stanton. I don't like the Yankees, but I like Stanton.
And depending on if your player's starting or if they're on the bench, other things they can provide for you could make up for some of this stuff.
So, but I mean, you know, a little bit of a interesting talk for our second segment.
All right, so this was our second segment. This is our second baseball video. Sorry if I seemed
Well, it may
down
not,
today, but
depending on which one you watch, it may not be the second one. I mean, it's up to you on what you want to watch. Again, we're splitting these in different segments.
yeah, I
so
think
they're
it's
smaller videos.
yeah, it's going to be more compact, more accessible. I think the titles of the videos are going to be one thing. They're going to be simpler to find.
That way, we're not trying to rush. We have more to talk about. It's easier. It's
Yeah,
smoother.
yeah.
People
Definitely.
can choose what they want to watch.
Yep.
So it benefits the person watching. It benefits us. We get more videos out there. But anyway, guys, we're gonna do the pack opening next.
Yeah.
And then the challenge will be uploaded
Always
separately as well.
excited for the pack opening.
So that's been it with Common Sense Sports. Cody and James.
Yeah.
Make sure to hit that like, subscribe,
Notification bell.
leave us a comment as always, and we'll see you for the pack opening. Y'all have a good day.
Good day.
Yeah.